One of the most common questions that we get is, how do I make my hanging basket look gorgeous all summer long? Well, I have got 3 gardening tricks to ensure that the hanging basket that you buy in the spring from your local garden center gives you continuous blooms all the way through fall. Stay tuned. Welcome to Gardening with Creekside. I am Jenny, and today I am going to give you 3 very easy tricks to ensure that your hanging basket lasts for months and months on end. We are in North Carolina. We are a zone 7B. So all of the hanging baskets that you see in front of me are considered annuals for us here. Now, if you know anything about North Carolina, anything about the South, and I'm sure this goes across all of our states, is that it gets really hot sometimes. And the basket that you buy in the spring from your local nursery may not last all the way through the heat of the summer and into fall. But I've got 3 very simple tricks that I'm going to share with you on how to ensure that your basket gives you gorgeous blooms for months on end. So before me, I have a whole selection of hanging baskets that we grow here at Creekside Nursery. We are a Proven Winners certified garden center, and so all of our annuals this year are Proven Winners. Anywhere from this gorgeous Super Bells Tropical Sunrise, that is one of our very most popular hanging baskets, to this is Proven Winners Living on the Edge combo recipe, which has a great selection of the Royal Velvet Supertunia, the Red Supertunia, and then the Dream Sickle Super Bell. Fantastic recipe. Over here we have Charmed Life, which has 3 different of the Supertunia Charm series of petunias. Proven Winners has developed these recipes, and then we simply put them together to give you these gorgeous hanging baskets. But a lot of times we'll have customers probably about the end of May into June just say, my hanging basket looks awful, it's so sad, it does not stay this pretty all season. What do I need to do? Well, this is what you're going to do. There are 3 ways you can use your hanging basket. 1, you can take any hanging basket and move it up to a larger hanging basket container. This gives your roots room to grow and ensures that your hanging basket will go all season long. We can also move them up and put them into a container. That way you can put it anywhere in your yard. Again, lots more dirt, lots more room for your plants to grow. And then the 3rd way that we're going to make sure that your hanging basket gives you lots of color throughout the whole season is you're going to take your Supertunias and you're going to plant them directly into the ground. First, what we're going to do is we're going to move our Tropical Sunrise up to a larger hanging basket. So we're going to put these guys on the ground, and I have right here a fantastic permanent, I guess you would call it, hanging basket that I made an investment a couple of years ago, and this is just that great wrought iron basket with the cocoa liner. Now, because we are in North Carolina and our growing season for these guys can be about 7 months, every year I do have to replace my cocoa liner. Again, I do not mind that because it gives me months of color. This basket is a 17-inch in diameter, and it's probably 10 inches deep. The baskets that we use for our hanging baskets are only 10 inches in diameter and maybe 8 inches in depth. So by moving it up to a larger hanging basket, it gives the roots room to grow and be happy. This is very simple. So what I've already done is my hanging basket has the great Proven Winners potting soil in there. So I have filled it up probably about 3/4 of the way, and I'm just going to pull some dirt back and make a little hole. Before I get started, I'm going to put on my gloves. I don't know about y'all, but when I garden, my hands just get eat up by cuts and all sorts of funny stuff. So I like wearing my gloves. Now, hanging basket. First we need to do is take off the wire hanger. You can do this 2 ways. 1, you could take some sharp scissors or some little snips and just cut it. Or for me, it's just faster and easier because normally I can't find those tools because I have 3 children that like to borrow my tools. So it's just easier for me simply to untwist the wire hanger. There's 3 connections, and you just flip and twist, get it undone. And once you get it unhooked, you just pull your wire off, and you're done. Now, the trick is you're going to make like a little claw with your hand, and you're going to nestle your hand down into till your fingertips are touching the soil. Turn your hanging basket over, and it lifts right off. Now, most likely you could have a saucer on the bottom of your basket. You're going to want to pull that off. Now, in this basket, there are 3 plants, and you can tell that the root system is already pretty developed. If you want to, you can go in there and pull it up some and break up the roots. It is not root bound, so I do not feel that it is necessary to do that. You always want to make sure that you feed your hanging basket. Petunias, calibrachoas are very heavy feeders, so you've got to feed your plants. I'm using the Proven Winners slow release fertilizer here. Has a great little shaker top, so I'm just going to go in, shake it in there, and then I have my food. Take your basket, flip it back upside down, right way. There we go. Now, of course, I'm going to have some holes in there along the edge. So I've got my Proven Winners soil, and you're simply going to lift up the side of the basket and fill in all along the side with the soil, because you do not want to have any pockets against those roots, like air pockets against your roots. Remember, the more soil you have, the happier your plant is going to be, the more room that your hanging baskets can grow in here. The roots are going to be happy and expand, and we want happy roots, because if you've got happy roots, you've got a happy hanging basket. We're going to pack it in there, make sure all the dirt's in there, give that guy a little zhuzh, take out the tag, and there you go. Now, remember, with a hanging basket, they will dry out a whole lot faster than your containers or when they are in the ground. So you have got to water these guys regularly, especially if you have the high temperatures like we do here in the south. We just had a lot of wind over the last couple of days. And so the wind is one of the main enemies of a hanging basket. So you want to make sure, can you tell I'm wrestling this thing? It's coming. Here we go. The last thing we want to do is get this guy in here, this gal in here, and then rip her. But wind is one of the main enemies against your hanging basket because they will dry it out very, very quickly. And you know when petunias and super bells get dried out, they are not happy. So look at that. We have got a gorgeous hanging basket that has been moved up, and with regular watering and fertilizing, it will last you for months on end. All right, now come with me. We're going to go put this in its final resting place, and then we're going to pot up a container using a new hanging basket. We have come down to my mama's garden. So we are in her space. She has this fantastic gazebo that is covered in jasmine, and tropical sunrise will look perfect here for this summer. So simply hung it from the gazebo. She is happy, she's been watered, and she's ready to go. Now, let's talk about using a hanging basket in a container. Alrighty friends, so the second gardening trick that I'm going to show you on how to make your hanging basket last all season is to plant it in a container. So here I have Proven Winners Charmed Life recipe, and it actually has 2 of each of these charmed super petunias. There is Charmed Hot Pink, there is Pink Star, and there is Sangria Charm. So of course, just like we did when we were moving it up to a bigger hanging basket, you want to get the actual hanger off of it for you. So we're going to come over here and unhook the hanging basket, the hanger. Remember, there's only 3. Just just takes a minute to do it. Rip that guy out. Lost a few blooms. All right, so you're gonna take your fingers, make a hook, wiggle your hand down in there, flip it upside down, and wiggle. Again, make sure you take off the plastic liner if there is one in your hanging basket. Sometimes they're attached to the actual hanging basket. So again, I have filled up my pot with some great Proven Winners potting soil. It does have some slow release fertilizer in there. I am going to go ahead and add some more though of Proven Winners slow release fertilizer. And now I know some people are like, Jenny, that is way too much fertilizer. Why are you doing that? There's a couple of reasons. One, remember that this is going into a container, and containers will actually leach the fertilizer. So you notice my hanging basket went settled down in there a little bit too much. So we're going to pull her out. I need some more soil in there. So it's a good thing that I have a great root system, so I can just easily pull her out and she's fine. So we're just going to add some more soil in there because you don't want your basket sunk down into your container. You want it resting right about even. Here we go. Ah, much better. See? So now she is instant pot, instant gorgeousness. Now, just like we did before with the hanging basket, we're going to come around because there is a lot of empty space around the hanging basket. There's probably, gosh, a couple inches all the way around. So you really want to pack the soil in there. I tell people when I'm dealing with a hanging basket of this size, it reminds me of a bride in her wedding dress. So just gently lift it up, put the soil in there. You don't want any air pockets. You want lots of soil so the roots have room to grow. More soil means more moisture is going to be held in there. More food is going to be held in there. This tends to be a little bit messy, but that's all right. Gardening's about getting dirty sometimes. So get it nice and full in there. All right, now she is nice and secure, so all you have to do now is water her. You always want to make sure that your containers are nice and moist, not soaking wet, and not bone dry. Your petunias will let you know when they are dry and they will get very limpy. Now, I did put slow release fertilizer in there. Here in North Carolina, because we have such a long growing season, we can easily have 7 months, April through October, that this container will last us. You can reapply the slow release fertilizer when you see that your blooms are not as prolific, your foliage is not as dark green, so you can reapply some more slow release fertilizer at that time. For me, I find it's normally around that 3-month mark. Or what you can do is begin your regimen of your liquid fertilizer. At that point, you will feed this container every once every 1 to 2 weeks, 10 days. Just set it on your calendar, on your phone. It will remind you that you need to feed it. This is great. It's just like any other water-soluble fertilizer. You mix it up in your watering can and you water it and they have food. You have to feed your plants. That is one of the #1 things that we find that customers do not do, is they do not have their plants on a regular fertilizing schedule. It's very, very important. Remember, food equals flowers. There we go. We have an instant gorgeous pot just from using a hanging basket and potting it up. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to use a hanging basket in your landscape. Hang on. Okay, friends, the third and final tip that I have for you to make sure that your hanging basket lasts all season long is to plant it in the landscape. Yes, I just said to plant a hanging basket in the landscape. Now, there are a few exceptions or rules that you need to think about when you're doing this. Any supertunia from Proven Winners will do great in the landscape. Super bells, also known as calibrachoa, do not get planted directly into the landscape. That is because calibrachoas do not like to have wet feet. And especially here in North Carolina, we have got red clay. And red clay is wonderful in that it holds moisture and the nutrients. But if you don't like to have wet feet, then red clay is not a good thing. Calibricos don't like it, so do not plant your super bells directly into the landscape. They do great in hanging baskets, containers, but not the landscape. Here I have the gorgeous Supertunia #1 Vista bubblegum. Is she not a beauty? Look at this. This thing is massive and it's just now started getting to grow. We love the Vista Supertunias because they were specifically bred by proven winners to go directly into the landscape. This is the most vigorous growing petunia. It will spread. It makes this gorgeous carpet of pink blooms that will last you well into the fall. We had these planted at our house last year and they were beyond gorgeous, absolutely exquisite. So we are here at the nursery. We are between the greenhouses and the barn, and we have this great bank that we have landscaped with shrubs. So I wanted to bring in this massive pop of color, so we're going to plant some bubblegum hanging baskets in the landscape. So now that we have this gorgeous bubblegum hanging basket, we're going to dig our hole and get this sweet girl planted. It's not much different than planting any other kind of shrub or flower. Of course, you want to come in here. You can see that we're pretty much on a big, steep bank. And you will see our gorgeous red clay here in just a second. Look at that lovely North Carolina wet red clay. Now we had some major rain here last night. So this ground is nice and wet. So I am not going to be the least bit concerned about watering this petunia when I put her in the ground. Of course, when you're digging your hole, you want to make sure that your hole is nice and the same depth, basically, as your hanging basket. If you can go a little wider, that's a great thing. Allows the roots room to grow, spread out, especially when you have really compacted soil. You notice I didn't take away my mulch. I'm working my mulch into the hole. I've got some great little earthworms in here. Miss Bubblegum is going to be very happy. So, dirt off to the side. Soil's nice and soft. We're going to come back and get Miss Bubblegum. Now, again, I'm going to harp this over and over again. Feed your plants. This is in the landscape. We need to go ahead and feed it. There's two ways you could do it. You could go ahead, like I'm going to do, and just put it directly in the ground, or you could wait, plant the bubblegum, and then put the slow release fertilizer around it. I find with the hanging baskets that they're so large to begin with that it's easier to put it in the hole than trying to lift it up and put fertilizer around it. So it is in the hole, it's nice and happy. We're going to grab the hanging basket. I went ahead and took the hanger out just to save us some time. Again, nice and gentle, fingertips on the soil. Take the basket off. Here we go. And she's going to go into the landscape. I can tell that my hole was the perfect depth. Look, right here. Soil of the hanging basket is even with the soil of the landscape. So now I just go back in and I fill it in. Little holes, lift up the back side, get her tucked in. Again, make sure that you don't have any air pockets around your root ball, because that really does make a big difference that you fill it in. You're more than likely going to have some dirt left over because you're putting a hanging basket in there. So you can always come back with some fresh mulch, tidy her up, make your bed look great, get any little weeds out, and voila, there you go. You have got an instant, gorgeous plant in your landscape. Now, We're going to go ahead and put a couple more on the ground so you can get the full effect. Okay guys, I have got the bubblegum baskets are planted, and aren't they gorgeous? Look at them. They're so happy in their new home. Now, one of the great benefits of using a hanging basket in your landscape is that you have instant gorgeousness. You are not buying a little tiny 6-pack petunia and sticking it in the ground and waiting for it to grow. You have this gorgeous hanging basket already in lots of glory in your landscape. So it is easy to see, it is going to be a showstopper, and it is only going to get bigger and be more vigorous and more blooms as the season goes on. By the end of the summer, this one hanging basket will easily fill in this whole area, because in this hanging basket I have 3 Vista bubblegums. Again, very vigorous growers. They will fill in this whole area. So imagine all 3 of these hanging baskets just filled in with a carpet of pink blooms. So when you go to your local garden center this spring and you see a hanging basket, I need you to think outside of the basket and think, how can I use this beautiful flower in my space that I have been given to give me months and months of gorgeous blooms? You can upgrade it to a bigger basket, you can put it in a container, or if it's a petunia, you can put it in the landscape. I hope that you have found these 3 little gardening tips very useful. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and thank you so much for gardening with Creekside. We will see y'all next time. Bye friends. I just got ahead of myself. Guess what I forgot to do? I didn't dig my hole yet, so hold that thought.